it, do it.
It does not cut out. Sorry, my laptop is gone. We don't have the top dollars. Imagine everybody flashing, fashion, designer clothes, lacing your stick up with diamond rolls. If people on the dome, no parole, no rubbers, going on.
Another lovely episode of Not Your Typical Girl Talk.
Hey.
What is going
We
on,
are the Not Your
everyone?
Typical Girl Talk crew, starting in alphabetical order. We will introduce ourselves, starting with C. Are we good?
We are good. We are good. So,
Perfect.
my name is Garcia, and I am one of the Not Your Typical Girl Talk crew.
Hey, my name is Telly, and I'm also a lovely member of the Girl Talk crew. Boom.
And I am Toshiba, the final member of Not Your Typical Girl Talk, and you are watching us live on Facebook and listening to us right now on Radio Regent. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we will be talking about a big issue. I think every week we talk about a big issue, but I think, even though we're in Canada, a lot of what is happening in the US affects us. And now we are basically talking about when the dust settles, what will America and the world look like in a post-Trump era?
Yes.
Man.
That's a lot. When you think about it as a whole, that is a lot.
It is. It's a lot to unpack. Because, remember before he was president? I mean, yes, you had, we always have racists. We always had, the left and the right, whatever they want to call it. But things were still, business as usual. It's very interesting. It's like a case study almost. What one man can do to people's minds 4 years in something, or into either a relationship, a work relationship, or in this case, a leader of the free world. He has brainwashed so much people and twisted the country in such a weird exorcist style way that it's baffling at how psychotic things have gotten since this man has been president. It's psychotic.
And to add to that, Telly, I think right now it's downright dangerous, right? I was watching on CNN where they're clearly talking about the fact that President Trump will not give President-elect Biden into the briefing rooms for national security, right? And they've talked about the fact that during a transition from president to president is when the country is most vulnerable. And interesting, they started talking about and how dangerous it also is to their allies, Canada being one of them and the UK being another that they spoke about specifically, right? How dangerous it is to our closest allies if an incoming president doesn't have intel that will affect national security, not only for that country, but for their allies as well. Because again, even with, attacks, it doesn't mean that they're just going to attack the US. They could do counterattacks in all of the other countries. And so now you've got a man who's withholding information that is critical to keeping people safe.
Yes. And, along with that, Toshiba, that also reminds me of the report. Along with all of that going on, Donald is also going ahead and doing a bit of a purge on the Pentagon, and he is firing people that are very good at their jobs and filling the place with people that are loyal to him and loyal to the Trump effect. And the issue here is that, I don't want to downplay the people being put in these roles because I do not know them. I have not seen their resumes, but for all I know, these could be pencil pushers that used to work at Xerox or something. And now they're working at the Pentagon, which is the safe space for America. And we see what happens when the rest of the world is watching. Everybody around the world knows what's going on right now in the US. Yep. And any country that considers themselves to be an enemy of America is right now saying, yo, this might be the time.
The
And
time,
I
man.
hate to bring it up because I hate to bring it up, but I'm going to bring up 9/11. And we don't need anyone out here creating scenarios and ideas that could hurt a mass amount of people. We're already dealing with COVID, which is one of the greatest right now, yes, one of the greatest murderers and killers of the human race. As far as a pandemic, we don't have time for enemies to start showing up and doing things in America, because again, when America is affected, a lot of countries are affected.
Yes.
Again,
Absolutely.
you know, not only our families and our friends, but people that we do business with, people that we care about. So I'm very concerned that Donald, again, he is just showing us that he really cares about himself.
That's the only
and
one.
He doesn't care that America is vulnerable. He doesn't care that while he's playing golf today, and you know, he's out playing golf today while America is getting the biggest numbers in the world for daily amounts of cases and daily deaths. And he is out here making false claims on electoral voting, saying people have been using dead people's names, which is not true.
Come on now.
And judges are wasting their resources and time going through paper and saying, well, yeah, we're throwing this out. We're throwing this out. We're throwing that out. And while people are out here rallying with no masks on, no social distance, he is playing golf, meaning he don't care about nobody. And I am also shocked at the fact that this is not getting to people. Like, I don't understand. If a man was treating you this way, you would know that he's ignoring you. You would know that he's a bad guy.
And this is abuse. It's actually abusive to the American people. And, you know, right now, as we're broadcasting, I'm actually in New York State, headed toward New York City shortly. And I can tell you, New York as a whole is truly being affected. You know, they were the epicenter of it when COVID first started out. As you ladies know, my father, you know, got COVID and was put in a coma and had a stroke and, you know, kind of came out of it with full-blown dementia. And I'm headed to see him for the first time after just saying enough is enough. I can no longer, you know, kind of stay away, which was difficult enough as a Canadian trying to cross the border. So that, you know, was within itself. And so now here I am, and all of these precautions that are being put in place for me to see my father, and to think that people are just out in the streets talking about the election was stolen for this million mega march, which is like 10,000 people. Let's just.
And the fact that they stole, that where they got their name from, what do they call it, the MAGA march, the million MAGA march. That sounds very reminiscent to another march. Very reminiscent. But, you know, they've been stealing things from us for donkey years. And that's the part that really bothers me too, ladies, that as we were talking about an abusive husband or an abusive wife who treats their spouse pretty much like garbage, and that person eventually gears up enough nerve to walk away from this relationship. Yet, like both of you ladies were saying, while the commander-in-chief is out playing golf because he's having too many temper tantrums and they don't want him to flip his lid, so they're taking him on these field trips. You have Washington. Washington closed down. He has the MAGA supporters out there. They're preaching his gospel while their orange savior is out there cussing
on his weekly field trip.
Yeah, on his field trip. He's there playing golf and not caring about the people that are out there with no masks. Like, it's just a huge mess. It almost makes you wonder if you're in some kind of weird Twilight Zone. That's what it feels like.
Well,
and that's exactly what it feels like. Sorry, Carcia. That is exactly what it feels like. And I'm telling you, being on this other side of the border, having seen, you know, how stringent Canada is about everything, it does feel like a bit of a Twilight Zone, right? The amount of things that are open here, the things that, like, the things you can, it's almost like life is kind of going on with restrictions. And it's, you know, the question is, do we continue to live with this and just figure out how to do it? Or do, like, people are dying. They've had the highest number of cases, I think, today. And this pandemic started in, January. We knew about it in March, but it started in January. So, sorry again, Garcia, to cut you, but it feels, now that I'm on the other side of the border, I can tell you, and I can only imagine going into New York City, in really the epicenter. And my father is in Queens, which was the real epicenter in New York.
Yeah.
I feel like I am walking in a twilight zone because people are just going on their merry little way. It's just like nothing is happening.
Wow.
Yes. I do have to say that, New York was one of the places that was heavily hit in the beginning, when COVID first started to take, control of North America. And, even this morning I heard that, vaccines, Donald Trump has said that he doesn't want to release the vaccine to New York because, Governor Cuomo said this, and he said, oh, we don't want, a vaccine that, comes too quickly or, hasn't been sanctioned. And he's like, well, they're not getting it. And, I just have to bring that up because New York is one of the places that has tried to abide by maybe something that's closer to Canadian rules. Like right now in Canada, we are in a code red, and code red here means basically it's a modified code red. So you can't sit in a restaurant and eat. You can go to a gym, but you have to make an appointment because only 10 people can be in the gym at once. And that's including personal trainers. So maybe it's only 5 paying people that can be at the gym at a time. Ridiculous. So yeah, we, other than schools, everything else has been minimized to virtual meetings, events, services, whatever you do. And then in the States, I understand people don't want the economy to shut down. But I am saddened to know that in El Paso, Texas right now, they have mobile morgues. These are big trucks that are driving around and collecting bodies, and then they park and they sit there and wait until there's room to put these bodies in an actual physical facility.
Oh God.
They showed the amount of trucks that are sitting there with corpses in them. This is America. This is not Afghanistan.
Wow.
This is not Iraq after a war. This is America.
First world country.
With no war. Hundreds of bodies. Each truck, they said, holds about 200 bodies.
Jesus.
Wow.
And there were more than a dozen that they showed full of bodies that have not yet found a place to put these bodies, to put them through the process. And many people have been already told, yeah, we're just going to cremate your loved one because we don't have we can't have funerals. And there are many people out there, due to religious reasons or whatnot, that don't believe in, burning corpses. And it's breaking their heart that they have to go against what someone would have wanted as their last will and testament. So, it bothers me that we have a battle, and the battle seems to be humanity or economy.
Right.
And, which one do you value more? Yeah. And
the economy
right now. Yeah.
It's
winning.
It's winning. It's winning big because even if you describing that there are morgue trucks sitting there, trucks
on top of each other. I can imagine.
Like we're back in World War II.
Yes.
And Agent Orange is playing golf and preaching about a vaccine that isn't approved, that he claims is 90% ready. Although another scientist said, actually, we're just testing things out. Nothing's approved yet.
He said they have a ways to go. That's what he said. That were his words exactly. We have a ways to go.
And and there's bodies out there in the land. Like, come on, man. This is...
And he's on his field trip.
He's on his field trip.
Because, when you think of vaccines and you think of, if anyone's ever been through a clinical trial, I've dealt with autoimmune diseases and things. So I've definitely been through, trials of medication.
Right.
And it takes years. It takes years. And they don't even really like testing things until they don't take it to another stage. There's different phases of testing, and the next phase of producing this drug and giving it out to people, it has to be like 95 and up % before they even consider it. And this drug, we're at a 90%, and maybe they're just being optimistic right now. Maybe it's only actually 85%.
It could be due to desperation that they're just saying
90%. Because it's 90%, yet the scientist is saying we still have a ways to go.
Okay.
Because is it okay for everyone?
Girl?
So exactly. And you know what was funny, you mentioned Governor Cuomo, because I was watching him on CNN. I watch a lot of CNN, is that, you know, he was saying, so, you know, I think it was not Dr. Fauci, but Dr. Gupta they were talking about the fact that this vaccine needs to be refrigerated, right?
Yes.
In certain temperatures. And it's not just your average refrigerator.
Right.
It's a specific refrigerator that it has to be in, because it has to be at a certain temperature. And so Governor Cuomo was like, and so how I need to now figure out with my staff, how do I disperse it to the most vulnerable in the community? Right?
Exactly.
Because that's where it needs to go first, the most vulnerable in the community. So those who are very ill, nursing homes, you know, those in the Black and brown communities. He was very specific. Those in poorer communities. Like, I need to be able, because they are the most vulnerable, to getting this, right? Nursing homes may not have that specific refrigerator to now hold, like, the whole thing needs to be coordinated, right? There's a coordination effort that needs to happen. And it isn't like, boom, great, we've had a sample size of 500 people and it's now 90% effective. Let's go out and give everybody a vaccine because you just line up in a line, like, you know, and they're sticking you with a needle. Like, there's a coordinated effort. And so when you have, even as an outgoing president, like, dude, like, this is where I'm at, like, dude, you still, like, you have a job. Like, when you get and you say, you know what, I'm going to leave my job. If we have a job and we have to give them 4 weeks notice, right? We give them 4 weeks notice. We don't have an option for those 4 weeks to just coax by. I don't say, I've given you my 4 weeks notice. You're still going to pay me for a month, but I'm just not going to.
Right.
Exactly.
Because you are getting paid, and you also care about your legacy. You know that the world is small. You know that the person that is your work colleague or your boss, one day you might need to call in a favor, or you may need to have this person introduce you to someone that you need to be introduced to. Right? So you're not going to mess up that 4 weeks. You are going to continue to disperse your work to the people that need to transition into your role. You're going to train. You're going to do all of these pieces that you need to do. So when you leave with a clear head and mind, knowing that you did the best job you did.
That's it.
And you're moving on to your next point of greatness. And if you want to look at it in a sense of mindset, when you do things like that, then greater waits for you. It's karma, right?
Amen.
And Donald, he doesn't have this sort of idea to say, well, you know what? I had 4 years. I'm going to end this on a high note.
That's it.
By trying my best to make sure that with this 71 days, whatever it is I have left, I'm going to see what I can do to impact this COVID mess. I'm going to see what I can do to make sure this transition is smooth enough. But he doesn't have this sense to do that because he's a sore loser.
The man won't concede.
And when you look at,
there will be no concession. There will be no like, if we're waiting for it,
he's not going to show up at the inauguration. No, everybody,
he won't concede.
Like, he's not going to show up.
They're going to have to get Obama to fill that spot just so that they can do the ceremony. For all I know.
Well, according to the press house secretary, she says, of course he'll show up to his own inauguration. That was her words. She says, of course Donald will be there. Of course he'll be there. He's got to show up to his own inauguration. Well, dum-dum, guess what? A second-term president wouldn't get inaugurated again. So, incorrect. So, he wouldn't have an inauguration because he's a second-term president. And most importantly, he lost. Most importantly, he's got to hand over the keys Okay, he's done. Okay, gave his notice. His notice has been given to him. Hand over the keys, because at 12:01 p.m. the Secret Service are throwing him out like Jazz, like Uncle Phil used to do to Jazz right out of that house. And the rest, all them picked them, all of them are going to be thrown out at 12:01.
And
that's what I love it.
and that's what it is. My concern is with this transition that's not going as smooth as it should, is that there is money. I think it's about 71 or 75 mil that's supposed to go towards Biden's administration with hiring, with doing all the rest, and all of this. It's not being released to him. And there are just many things that are being held back simply because Donald has told people not to do their job. And I also asked the question, and I seriously sat down with my father. Telly and I are sisters, so we have the same dad. So I'm going to say our dad for those that are listening. And having a conversation with our dad, and I said to him, and I was very serious about it, I was like, what does he have over people? What does he have over America to be able to tell people to not do their job? I just don't, like, I would never do this. If someone told me, go over there and shoot that person, I'd be like, I ain't gonna go shoot nobody.
Hell no.
What do they do to me? I ain't shooting nobody. But Donald seems to have this thing where he is telling people to go against the oath they took when they took their office in government. And they're doing what he says.
All of that.
And I'm like, this man is never going to hire you. He can't afford to hire you.
A little louder for the people in the back.
That part. You know what's so interesting? Because, of course, we're talking about a post-Trump era. You know, what is so interesting is the reality is Donald Trump is not going to go away. I think the only thing that gets Donald away from us is death, right? Like, we should be prepared that as long as Donald Trump is breathing and Twitter is able to, for him to tweet, like, this man is actually not, he's not going to go away. And I think the interesting thing is he's taken a stronghold of the Republican Party, right? This grand old party. Here's this businessman who's come and taken a stronghold, and I think will have hitched their wagon to him, thinking that as long as I'm hitched to Donald, I can get myself to the next level. But then I listen to people like Kayleigh McEnany, and I think, does she think anybody's going to take her seriously after this?
Hell no.
She's being made fun of all over.
She's a laughing stock of the planet.
She's a laughing stock because the thing is that she, and mind you, she could be a very intelligent person. I am always giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Fair.
You know, however, when you take a sheet of paper written with the lies and the ludicrous accusations that Trump has made up, and you walk up to a podium before the world, before every news station in the world, and read this stuff out with boldness and confidence, you say to yourself,
what
girl,
the hell?
Like, come on.
I'm sure.
Really?
I'm sure she must like hate herself deep within. Imagine you have in your hand, you have like nothing but lie upon lie upon lie. Now you have to go up to that podium with everyone looking at you,
went right ahead.
And you gotta read it.
The thing about it, Telly, is just like Carcy said, she's gone right ahead and said it, right? You know, this is a woman who I think a few days ago, she was being interviewed and they asked her something and she said, that's a question for the White House. And Anderson Cooper kind of looked around and said, you are the spokesperson.
You are the White House right now,
you are the spokesperson.
Yes.
Person.
You are basically the White House.
You're the press secretary.
Right.
You speak. Let me just get. You're speaking the White House.
Exactly.
Right.
Like.
And this is what concerns me, is that we have people that are not taking responsibility and they're just looking out for themselves. Concerning what the next 4 years looks like, I'm very concerned because Donald Trump has his two most annoying sons,
Junior and Eric,
that I cannot for the life of me understand why people. I actually do not like them, and I can boldly say that I've never actually liked them.
Nope.
The Trump family is actually a family I've never actually enjoyed.
Me either,
I've
girl.
always boycotted everything
Can't
they ever
stand
did.
them.
And what I am worried about is Don Jr. will run for president.
Oh yes, he will.
And I know that his kids are now going to run for Senate. They're going to run for the government roles to, again, try to infect the country. They are looking at trying to be the Kennedys. You know, they are trying to become ingrained in the DNA of American history, which kind of they already are now. But they really want it to be, when you hear the word Kennedy, you know, it is out there.
Right.
But the thing is that, can you infect the country in some other way? You know, the Kardashians have done it, but they didn't have to become the president to do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm fine with the Kardashians, girl. Stay in your lane.
Because they're in their own lane.
Yeah, stay in your lane.
That's
Be
it.
those reality stars. You know, sell whatever you need to sell. Yeah, and stay there and do what you're doing. But when you start messing with the health and the welfare of a country, I have a problem with you. If you're not going to take it seriously, then don't do it.
But that's the problem too. His brain is, he's always on. He thinks he's on TV. Everything, this whole presidency has been nothing but lights, camera, action. That's why when he was doing that ridiculous first debate, he was telling Biden, oh, the children that have lost their parents due to the whole Mexican border thing. He had the audacity to say, oh, well, if you saw that we brought cameras to the children to show that they're in great condition. Like, cameras. You got 543 kids with no mom and no dad, and all you can say is you're a good man because you brought cameras?
There was a photo shoot.
And there was a photo op?
To take pictures for 5 minutes of probably something that you set up.
Oh, you know this. He probably handpicked.
Yeah, he probably handpicked the best looking children
that weren't, looking like they were skinny or on the point of death and starving and crying. His idea of solving the problem of the protesting due to George Floyd's death was to take a Bible that was probably turned upside down because he's Satan, walk up to a church that he doesn't go to, and take a photo in front of it as if this is going to solve racism. Like, dude, you're a piece of work. And again, if he was, reality show.
Yeah, if he was doing this for a reality show or for a film or whatever, I would be like, that's fine. He's doing what he's good at. But doing this in the midst of what the world is going through right now, we don't need a leader like this.
No.
And so, when we think about it, and we're really thinking about, as we talk about in the second half of the show, what's next?
What's next? And you know what? I just want to take a moment before we head into our second part of the show. I want to thank Radio Regent so much for this time that we have here to chat with all of you. Thank you so much for listening to Not Your Typical Girl Talk. We are just 3 professional, entrepreneurial women that are out here to share our thoughts on the current things that happen in our world, whether that be here in Toronto, Canada, where we are from, or the US, or just worldwide. And we thank you all for listening. Thank you again to Radio Regent for making this time for us. And thank you for supporting us in all that we do. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Not Your Typical Girl Talk. And we look forward to getting to know you.
That is it for the Jamaican and we have to do the props.
No worries.
Girl. So, I am really curious to know what's next because, I think, Carsey, you said it best. Now you've got a family who wants to be such a huge part of American history that the reality is they're not going away, right? You've got Ivanka, you've got Eric, you've got Don Jr., you've got Barron, and whomever, Jared. You've got this whole family now who has gotten a real taste of power. They have not had power like this before, and they've gotten a lick of this power, and they do not want to give it up. And even if Daddy Dearest doesn't continue, his little spawns will. And what does that mean to the fabric of American society and the impact on American history if this family now tries to continue this legacy in politics to continue to ruin the fabric of American society?
Yes. So,
man, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, you know, my concern, along with, you know, Donald's children running for the role of president, would also just be the influence that Donald will probably continue to have in the Republican Party. We've seen that he doesn't care what we all think. He will do whatever he wants to do. And I feel that, you know, as a former president, he has solidified himself as, you know, an important piece of the Republican Party. And, you know, he is not the Bushes. He is not the Clintons, where, you know, like George Bush Jr. has literally retired from public life, like, period. Right. You don't see or hear from him unless he sends a press release into news broadcasters to say, you know, I, you know, love Joe Biden or something. Like, we're not going to hear anything from him. Donald is not going to be that kind of former president. He might actually, the word is he might actually start his own news channel, which would be very disturbing because we know what he's been doing with his Twitter. So it will be basically Twitter with a bigger platform. And, you know, there have been rumors about that. And then, of course, we have his daughter, Ivanka, with her husband, Jared. I don't think they're going to easily disappear either. I think that, again, they've had a taste of the Air Force One life, and they are going to try their best to stick around because, you know, she had businesses such as her Ivanka Trump lifestyle, I guess, clothes and handbags. Right. She's going to be like, why should I go do all that hard work when I could just literally
run for office?
Yeah. So, you know, we look at women like Condoleezza Rice. We look at Hillary Clinton. We look at Kamala Harris. And, you know, I think Ivanka might try to get in that line of, look at these great female government stars. And I think she really wants to do that, even though she hasn't really proven herself to be that, because we don't actually know what she does.
Girl, you're good at me. I have no idea what she does.
The roles that the Trumps have at the White House. It's very great.
Zero idea of what they do.
And also, it's funny because you did mention. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'll be very quick. I just remember with you saying that. When Curtis is saying that, you know, Trump's starting his own like TV station, I just thought that, I was like, that's funny. He hasn't, because I know that he pretty much wants to own Fox News, so he'll probably find himself on there since him and Fox News are like this. But also, looking at like the next couple of years post Trump era, I agree. I think that America is still in big trouble because as long as his kids are breathing, and their kids, it's like a domino effect. They will end up somehow back in office to some capacity, and they're going to screw the country over, probably even worse than it is right now.
Here's the thing, like it or not, Trump got the second most number of popular votes in American electoral history, with, of course, Joe Biden having the first. So despite this idea that people may have wanted to get rid of him, over 73 or 74, I think, million right now, came out and voted for Donald Trump. This is of a country of over 30 million people, let's call it whatever. And you know, people of voter, let's assume that 60% of those are able to vote because they're at the right age. Like, there is a vast number of people during a pandemic, through mail or otherwise, who still said, despite everything that this man has shown us, we still support him. And so to think that he's going to go away, we would be literally delusional ourselves, right? Like, when people talk about delusional, as a world, as a people, we would be deluding ourselves to think that a man who is as narcissistic as he is, getting the second most in the history of human, you know, American politics, he's going nowhere. And he can, you know, win, lose, or draw, him and his family can take that with them to the bank politically.
Yeah, they can. You know, even if the Republicans banish him from their party, he'll just go and pull a Kanye and start his own party. He'll call it the Trump party. He'll call it something. He'll find a way to make it all about him because that's what he's so used to. He wants that limelight. He wants the keys to the White House. He wants the keys to the Air Force One and the helicopter, and he wants that life. So he's not, you're right, he's not going away. He's not going anywhere.
I also too, along with that is that, you know, Donald doesn't, I've always considered Donald to not be a Republican. And I don't know, maybe some Republicans will come at me and get mad, but
keep it to themselves.
Donald is in his own lane.
He's not. He actually was a registered Democrat for many years. Right. He became a registered Republican to actually run for office. That is
right. So he's not really a Republican. He is running his own show.
That's it.
He, the only reason why he's running as a Republican is because it's the opposite of the administration that was in the office at the time.
Because he hates Obama.
And, you know, and that's another show. But because he does. But you know, he hates Obama. But you know, he is his own man in this, and he is not really looking at, well, what have previous Republicans did? Because if he was a true Republican, he would concede and he would allow the transition to happen. But he's not. He is his own man. I am Donald, and this is what I do, and this is how I am. And I don't care to be classy. I don't care to come across as fair. I don't care to come across as a decent person. I don't care what you think of my character. That is who he is.
That's it.
So, and he's also like 75 or however old he is. So he ain't changing.
No.
This is it. This is who he is. This is how he's going to be for the rest of his life. And we have to look at that and say, okay, well, Donald loves attention. He loves attention. He's a showman. And you know, he's a showman that is getting the attention, because there are people out there, like you said, that are going to vote for him purely because of the celebrity.
That's it.
They're not voting for, well, what has he done? What does he believe? What does he truly believe? And for instance, in Canada, I'm not sure if it would have been okay for Justin Trudeau to get up and, you know, talk about Nazi group, you know, and be like, there are good people on both sides. I don't think that would go well over, you know, at some countries that would not go over well. But because it came from Donald, it was accepted. So we're still living in this time. I know that we all want to think we're all woke, but at the same time, we are still, well, some people are still slaves to the white guy in a suit that made a lot of money, and he was on TV, so we should bow down to him. There's still that mindset. Like, it hasn't really gone anywhere. The mindset that was developed in the 1980s, which is very old school, it's still living in the hearts and minds of many. I've heard Republicans say that women can't lead, women can't be president. That's a woman thing.
Even women have said
women, and I'm talking about women. I'm talking about misogynistic women who have said that they don't think a woman could be president because women have mood swings. Yet every war that we've ever known has been started by men. So,
right.
to be honest, and it sounds so bad because I hate saying it, but we're not going to see things change until all these old people is dead.
Well, that's it. That's what someone was even saying that to me. They told me straight up. They said, "Telly, the only time you're going to see even a flinch of change is when the older white heads of
older people
gone,
old people,
and they're dying easy. Yeah, and they're not dying anytime soon either. There are like 90-year-olds that are hanging on,
and I
all
hate
their
to say that because of course we have we have grandparents and great-grandparents that we love and adore.
Right.
But the ones that are in power, the ones that have these roles, they're not going to change. The mindset that they had in the 1960s about communities being lazy, it's the same mindset in 2020.
Yep.
And the only way it's going to go away, the only way that rhetoric will stop being taught is when they're gone.
And it's true. And, we talked about on last week's show, this idea that people have to take even their state and even with us, making sure that your MPP in Canada, like you know who your MPP is, you know who your MPs are, you know who these local officials are. And the fact of the matter is you need to be looking at that, right? Are these people current with what's going on in today's climate, right? And if you've got someone who is of an older generation and an older thinking, right? Who running against somebody who is more socially conscious, is more aware of how it is being affected. You need to look at that because I look at Joe Biden. I think he recognized that he's going to be sworn in as the oldest president in the United States. He chose a vice president in Kamala Harris who is speaking to the people, right? She, as the first woman vice president, the first Black and South Asian vice president, like she, has her temperature. She's been in the law. People love her or hate her. The reality is she has her pulse on the temperature of the nation. Where Joe Biden may have blinders because, again, being a almost 78-year-old white man, the reality is his lens is very different than hers, right? She's has immigrant parents and all of the things that she's gone through. Being in an interracial relationship and being a stepmom to white kids, brings its own challenges. And I think she's got her pulse on the temperature. And when you're looking at your state and your local officials and in Toronto, your provincial and your city, officials, you need to look at who are these people and do they represent what I stand for? Do they understand what is going on in my communities? Will they show up in my communities when I say, listen, we have some issues here and we need you to represent? Are they going to come and rep?
And that's it. And that's my thing, when things happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud, and we can name many over the summer up to last week.
Yeah, it's a long list.
Where many people, many Black people have lost their lives to police brutality, police making terrible decisions. I didn't see Donald Trump call anybody. I didn't see Donald Trump show up.
I'll kiss my teeth for this whole time.
I didn't see him show up in those communities and say, I am sorry for what happened. He did not even do a performance.
No.
He did not even turn on the reality show Donald and show up.
No.
And that's what made me concerned. He did not make time to do it, as in where other leaders that it wasn't their responsibility. It wasn't Joe Biden's responsibility to go to chat with George Floyd's family. He didn't have to call Breonna Taylor's family. He didn't have to do anything. And that's my thing. I'm very much about which leaders are going to show up.
That's it.
In Toronto, our mayor is John Tory. And, John Tory has, say what you will, how you feel about him, but he makes a point of showing up to Black community events. When the Black tech professionals had their event, he's there every year. He's always there to do his thing, to talk to people, to meet with people. And this is the sort of person that we need in leadership for all countries, all cities, all counties, wherever you're from, if you're a leader and you are holding your hand up saying, no, I don't want to go to this parade.
Right.
No, I don't want to go to this. Why? Should you be for people first?
All of
and
that.
If you're not for people first, you should not be in government. That's just my opinion on it. But it makes me angry when I hear world leaders or whatever leaders of any sort of political party say that they don't want to sit at a table with a certain group and talk about how they can do better.
I agree with you. I think that, you know, to be a leader of anything, you have to be for the people. You have to be selfless. You know, you can't just be like, oh, you know, I love blue, so everyone has to love what I love. That's not how life works.
No, it's not.
You're there to serve the people. They voted for you to be mayor or governor or president or prime minister. That's how it should be. And I know that I remember when Joe Biden announced who was going to be his running mate. And when he said Kamala Harris, I know that I'm not American, but I was so happy. I was like, wow, this is huge. Indian Black woman. And, you know, people start saying, listen, she is the next president, because God forbid, if something does happen to Joe Biden, he is at a, you know, fragile age. But if something is to happen, she will be the president.
Yes.
And it is refreshing to know that there is a woman who knows what it's like to go to work bloated, who knows what it's like to have to put on a face just to get through the day because you're a woman. She knows what it's like to live in a place that you may not have a mom and a dad. She knows what it's like to be a mixed race and have people ask you, so what are you? What is it? She knows all of that. So she can relate to people and show young girls too that, hey, where I got here, and like she said in her speech, she may be the first, but she's sure as hell not going to be the last. And I love that. I loved it. I thought it was impeccable and amazing for her to say.
You know what's so interesting, Tully, as you say, the funny thing is, if you know, people go back and look at the, you know, Democratic debates, like she crushed Joe Biden, just so that we clear. She did. Up, right, down, center, left, everywhere good. Like, people were just like, if it was like a group of, whoa, like it was like, if it was a Jamaican dance hall, you didn't hear, like it was like, she went in on Joe Biden. So I think a lot of people looked at it when he chose her and said, that is a man who puts the people before he puts his personal feelings. Because she dragged him, you know, in Black Women Speak, she dragged him. Like, people need to go back to them because she read him up, down, and sideways like he was on Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? And he still turned around and said, I am going to choose this woman despite how she made me feel in that moment. I know that she is the best person to help me unite this country and serve the people.
Exactly.
And that's what we need. That's the sort of thinking we need. That's modern thinking. That's the thinking that is, you know, that has made San Francisco become Silicon Valley.
Right.
That's the sort of thinking that has allowed people under 30 to become owners of their own companies.
Right.
That mindset of, I am not the best at everything, so I need to find people that are better than me and get them on my side and not let my ego overtake everything. If you're walking around in your ego, girl, you are down for failure. And every time I see the numbers going up for COVID-19 in the States, especially at, you know, 247 something thousand people,
ridiculous, I
say to myself, you don't need ego right now.
No.
You don't need someone that's in their ego. You need someone that is in a mind of kindness and fixing this.
And you know what, Cara, I remember you told me, this is what reminds me, you said to me yesterday that there's 3 things that people have a problem saying, but the most important thing that people have a problem saying is, I need help.
Yes.
And even if we don't know his mindset, thank God, but because of that, you wonder, does he wake up every day and really just walking blinded as if, well, I can't see it, so therefore I can't hear it, therefore it's not real. I'm hoping, I don't know, I mean, he's such a psychotic man, I don't know, but I would hope to think that he would say to himself even once in a while, wow, maybe I should actually like reach out for help. But he won't, because his ego, like you said, like you have to remove your ego, remove your whatever you are on, and just ask for help. But this man will not do it.
I wish the people on the radio could see the slide I am giving you right now, Telly, because I'm over here in my you were talking about the man. You're talking about a man who basically came on national television and said, "COVID had nothing on me. I'm the best that ever did COVID." Like that's basically what he said after he allegedly got COVID. His alleged COVID incident, and we're going to call it alleged, right? This man came on and basically said, "I'm the best that ever did COVID." It was like he was Don King going out with a fight, talking about, "I'm the best that ever did it." Like, that's what the man came on and said, "COVID got nothing on me." It was very training day, right? He was practicing for his Denzel Washington, you know what I'm saying? "COVID ain't got nothing for me." So if you think that man is waking up thinking, "I need help," girl, stop it.
Exactly. I mean, this is a man that never says, "I'm sorry." He never says, "I made a mistake." He never shows weakness. He walks out to the song Macho Man at his rallies. He lives in his ego.
He lives
there
in
is
his
no,
ego.
you know, he could accidentally kill his mom and he won't say sorry. That is how much he is in his ego. So he is never going to ask for help because that would show weakness, which would go against the Macho Man
brand of being an idiot. Well, no.
And his brand is, "I am a strong individual. No one is better than me.
And that's sad.
I'm the best."
That is sad. And that's the fear. Because if you're gonna, that's the fear.
Like, maybe that was the leader that America needed 40 years ago. But right now, America needs another type of leader. You know, we need a leader that is going to say, "I don't have all the answers, but I am staying up late at night trying to find the best people in studying disease, studying infection. I'm doing everything I can to get money and stimuluses to those that need it, to business." That's the sort of leader that America needs now. I don't know what America is going to need 4 years from this day, but I know what they need now. It's like, you know, for me, you know, right now, when I look at Canada, what kind of leader do we need? Say what you will about Justin Trudeau, but right now, this is the kind of leader we need. Imagine if we had someone that didn't want to give everybody, you know, a benefit.
No,
because there are countries out there that have not gotten any sort of benefit or any sort of stimulus money at all.
It's true. And that's the thing. Like, I'm hoping that, you know, after January 20th, when it's like, okay, that's it. Like, y'all can keep on parading around like damn idiots all you want. But after January 20th, when Biden and Harris are sworn in, and that's it. It's over.
Well,
it's either you take the leader you have, or shut up. Point blank.
You know, someone said something.
They can go on with this rhetoric all they want. They can waste money counting ballots all over again and wasting money and people's time. Fine, but you know what?
We are right now we're miming
Shiva and Percy are miming how they're counting the ballots in Georgia. But after it's done and settled, and Biden gets even more electoral votes because they realize, oh, look at that, he had more than we even thought. Then the dust settles and he's sworn in. Then that's it. This rhetoric has got to stop. People need to grow up, put on their big girl, big boy pants, and be done with it.
But we won't.
We
won't. He's still going to tweet. He's going to now he's a president that's tweeting. But you know, someone said on CNN best, he's like, you know, as of January 20th, he'll be another crackpot on the internet. I was dying. It was the best thing I've heard that day. Yeah. But the reality is, this crackpot over 73.
Oh, Sheba?
He still got it, and that is the problem. Even though he'll be a crackpot with just a Twitter account, he's a crackpot that got systemic to vote for him.
Yeah. Oh.
Your faces are killing me right now. Your faces are the best.
And it's scary that that many people actually thought they want to keep this reality show going.
Well, yeah.
They want to keep this reality show going.
Yeah.
They voted for him because they're like, oh, well, maybe he'll change. He's not going to change.
No,
they love the reality show.
They know he's not going to change.
This is the
for
Apprentice on steroids. This is what that is to them.
Yeah.
That's why they voted for him again.
So I was never expecting Donald to disappear. I know he's here forever. I think of my age now, and people have got to understand, I actually grew up with Donald Trump's aura or name always in my life. Like, I think about it, I'm like, yeah.
Girl, remember Home Alone 2?
Yeah, like he has literally been in our childhood, from our childhood, teenhood, college years to grown adults. He's always been there. He's like Elvis or something, he's always been there. I don't know life without hearing that man's name. So I don't expect him to go anywhere. He's here forever.
It's scary
but again, go do whatever you want, Donald. Enjoy your post presidency, as long as he's not leading the free world. That's all I'm saying.
Amen. Amen. And for those of you who are listening to us for the first time, we always end our show with a takeaway in alphabetical order. But before we go away, Telly has some words for you.
Yes, I do want to thank everyone so much for watching us on live and listening to us here on Radio Regent. Do make sure to catch us every Saturday at 7 p.m. right here on Radio Regent, and catch us live right here in person. Chill out, come and hang out with me, with Sheba, with Karsia. Our videos are like insane. You will love what you see. we are it. You will not be disappointed. But thank you all so much for listening and for watching.
Yes, definitely.
And so we're going to wrap up with the last few minutes of our takeaway, and we are going to start with Karsia, our takeaway for this week.
My takeaway is that at the end of the day, even though people did come out in droves and voted for Donald Trump, I hope that everyone has learned the lesson that their vote does matter, and that we need to take government seriously. Let's not just close our eyes and blindly just vote for whomever. Let's do the research. Let us do our best to make sure that we are voting for people that have the same values we have, and we can be sure that our governments will be fair going forward.
My takeaway is that, although emotions run high, which they clearly did over, seeing what's going on right now with Trump's and his minions and everything, eventually my takeaway is that, come back down to reality. Come back down to the now. Look at what's happening. Don't be like this man that you're worshiping. Be like, what? We lost, but I'm still a member of this. I still am an American, in their case, an American. I'm going to support whoever is in charge and do my part to take part in what they're trying to do. Just be a good citizen and, pay it forward. Be kind. Because at the end of the day, there's no room for bullying. There's no room for crazy antics. Be a grown-up.
I love it. I love it. I'm actually going to take something that Karsia said, which is Donald Trump is not the president that's needed right now. America has the president that they need right now. And that is the thing. They are now in the hands of two people who are what they need right now, who are actually thinking outside of themselves and thinking about the American people who have already lost their lives, and unfortunately, the maybe hundreds of thousands more who will lose their lives before January 20th. So let's honestly just get together as humanity, and that is all we say. So Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Again, Radio Regent, thank you. Thank you, my ladies. And we are going to go out with our theme song.
Yes, thank you, Sheba. Thank you, Karsia. Thank you, Radio Regent. Thank you, iHeart Canada, or iHeart Radio Canada. Join us and follow us at Not Your Typical Girl Talk on all our social platforms. Let's dance it out, ladies.
Woo! Hey! Hey! Thank you, everyone. Namaste, ladies. We will do this again. Thank you, everyone who watched this and listened. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.